like a number of looks to me like a number of attendees are coming into our waiting or into the meeting, and just we'll give it another minute or so for people to get set up, and we'll get the meeting started. Okay, it looks like most of our attendees, it doesn't look like the number is going up. We've got a good measure of attendees tonight, and that's excellent. So I'd like to say good evening to everybody, and good evening and welcome to the MBTA's public meeting on the Winchester Center Station Accessibility Improvement Project. My name is Joe Nolan, and I'll be your moderator for tonight's session. And tonight's presentation will be led by Nathan Ray, the MBTA's Senior Project Manager for the Station Improvement Projects, and project staff will be on for the question and answer period as well. First, I'd like to take you through the protocols for the discussion period of tonight's meeting. This meeting will be recorded. If you do not wish to be part of the recording, you can type any questions you may have into the Q&A session, and as your microphone and camera will be turned off automatically. If during the Q&A period you want to ask a question verbally, you may hit the raise hand button located on your screen to be put in the queue to ask a question. If you're joining by telephone, we ask that you hit *9 to be recognized to ask a question. Questions will be presented in the order they are received. These instructions will be repeated at the beginning of the question and answer period. And with that, I will now take you through tonight's agenda and turn it over to Senior Project Manager Nathan Ray for presentation. Tonight's meeting will include a discussion on the project overview, existing conditions, the future station renderings. We'll take a look at what it's going to look like in the future, and what to expect during construction, the project schedule, the current transit alternatives with the station closed, and the anticipated parking and traffic impacts during construction. Then we'll get out and get into our question and comments period. So thank you again for joining us this evening, and I will now turn it over to Nathan Ray to take us through the presentation. Nathan.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. The MBTA is happy to be back to present Winchester Center Rehabilitation Project. We know that this is the fruit of many years of work and cooperation and collaboration between the MBTA and various stakeholders in Winchester, of course, the town, the board, the working group, as well as other stakeholders. And so we are very happy to be at this milestone of the project where we can really start to realize what we've been planning for the past few years. So as Joe said, we're going to be going over a project overview and then existing conditions of the station. There could be some of those I'm sure very familiar with the project in past meetings. And so we're going to talk about, kind of how we got to this point, what we can expect in the near future. We're going to concentrate tonight's presentation on kind of the initial pre-construction activities for the project. And so what to expect in the next few months in terms of traffic impacts and what you'll see on site in downtown Winchester. So a bit of a project overview. What are we doing at this station? Well, this is a full station reconstruction. There was a commuter rail station in Winchester Center since the 1950s. And so this is a new fully accessible commuter rail station with new elevators and stairs. They will be fully accessible, high-level platforms, covered sidewalks, upgraded area sidewalks as well. New lighting, new canopies, new emergency lighting, security features, and updated station and wayfinding signage. In total, the construction costs for this project are around $48 million. So a little bit about how we got to this point. The existing conditions of the station. The station does not meet current MBTA commuter rail design, ADA, or MAAB standards or requirements for accessibility. Due to a number of reasons and out of an abundance of caution of safety, the station was closed this past January. We undertook a short demolition project where we demolished the station ramps, platforms, some of the platforms, and all the canopies. This was completed in June of this past year. The photos that you should be able to see there on the left were of the station prior to the station being closed. There was shoring and efflorescence of the undersides of the platforms and the ramps. And so we took those down in this past demolition project. And the photos on the right there, you see what the station currently looks like with the ramps removed and the guardrails removed as well. We have done some additionally, we've done some preliminary rail work up top there in anticipation of this full project that's starting now. The future station renderings. This gives you a general idea of what the station is going to look like. This is looking over Waterfield Road and Laraway Road and the town common there. You're going to be having a brand new station, including elevators down at the head house on the south end at the Waterfield parking lot, some covered stairs, new canopies, new high-level boarding side platforms, and new ramps as well. The next rendering shows the view from the town common, looking at the elevation of Laraway Road. Again, new ramps where the old ones were, new canopies, platforms, signage, railing. A little bit about the schedule of this project and how it's going to roll out. We're entering what we call now phase one, or pre-construction activities. I'll get into what that means in a moment. That'll be the rest of this year, and then the winter months of 22. Around the spring of summer 22, when the weather breaks, we'll be starting full construction activities, and that'll be continuing until the spring of 24. After which we'll be demobilizing and then reopening your brand new station at Winchester Center. In total, we are scheduled for 28 months of construction. So what to expect in construction phase one? Many of the items that are listed here are what area residents may have experienced already with the demolition project. We will be redoing the pre-construction assessments. This is a new contractor, so we are obliged to redo the pre-construction assessments that are voluntary for the abutters of the station. Gradually, we'll be preparing the site for construction. This includes fencing installation, vibration monitoring, environmental controls. Little by little, construction equipment will start to arrive on site, and field personnel will show up as well. And you'll see a gradual site presence increase over the late winter, early spring months of 22. It's important to know the pre-construction phase. There's a lot of submittals, permitting that has to go on before anybody really shows up to site and does any meaningful work. So we're in that phase right now. Some transit alternatives while the work is going on. The transit alternatives for our bus patrons, the existing Laraway Road stop in front of the commuter rail where the Winchester Center was, will be closed. Laraway Road will be closed. I'll be talking about that in a moment. Patrons who wish to use Route 134 can make their way to the corner of Main Street and Vine, and they can take the bus either way from north or south from there. Commuter rail patrons can make their way to Wedgemere Station. They can walk, bike, or a short drive to Wedgemere, also in Winchester. A little bit about parking and traffic impacts now. Parking impacts, we are scheduled to begin in early 2022. So there will be no parking impacts over the Christmas holiday season in December in downtown Winchester. These parking impacts will start to occur later on in the early part of next year. In addition, Laraway Road will remain closed for the project duration. This was similar to what was seen in the last demolition project. Laraway Road is a very important area from which to stage the project. So through agreements with the town and discussions with the town has afforded us that opportunity to use Laraway Road there. In addition, portions of Waterfield parking area and Aberjona parking area will be unavailable during construction. There will be occasional parking and traffic impacts at Waterfield Road. Construction advisories, however, will be issued ahead of road closures or construction impacts. Police details will also be available on site for any traffic impacts. And so just to explain a little bit more about what you're seeing in this overhead here, this view of downtown, the blue spots, the parking spots painted colored in blue will be not available temporarily during construction, but will be returned back as available for parking at the end of the project. Parking spots in orange will be unavailable during parking and during construction rather, and will be not available for parking afterwards. Why? Well, because we are building the station in those specific parking spots that you see colored in orange there. For example, the Aberjona parking area will be building a new ramp to get up to the station there. So there will be no room for parking because the ramp will be there. And so you see the hash marks there is only Laraway Road, which will be closed for traffic during the duration of construction. So you also see just, commenting further Waterfield Road, there'll be some parking, occasional parking losses there. We do need to demolish the platforms overhead there there'll be occasional closure of the road at Waterfield. We need to demolish the platforms on either side of the bridge, install new platforms, and do some other work on the abutments there. So I'll turn it back over to Joe now for public outreach.
Thank you, Nathan. And before we get into question and answers, I just want to make a point that there is an issue on closed captions that was to be running, and I don't see it, and we're efforting that now. But I want to remind everybody in attendance that after the completion of this meeting, this recording will be posted, and we'll make sure it is posted with closed captions, and that the PowerPoint will be also provided in an accessible format that allows people to click on pictures and stuff and get written statements with regard to closed captions. So we apologize for that, and hopefully they'll be coming up as we move along. Before we get into the discussion with everybody, I would like to remind everybody that these are the project emails where you can make contact with us, and that we're going to ask some legislative participants have been asked to speak ahead of this. And before we first, we would start with Senator Jason Lewis. Jason, are you available to take over? Not hearing Jason. Kim, are you,
Hi, you just unmuted me. I know I'm in here as office of Senator Jason Lewis, but there should be someone else in the meeting just called Jason Lewis. But maybe for the moment we could go on to Rep Day if he's here.
I'm seeing Senator Lewis as an older version of Zoom. So I'm gonna.
okay, sometimes when there's people are using an older version of Zoom, which we know can happen.
Can
You
you hear
there?
me now?
Yes, we can, Senator. Go right ahead.
Great. Yes, sorry for that technical glitch, but good evening, everybody. I'm delighted to be with you all. I'm State Senator Jason Lewis, represent Winchester and a number of other communities. And I just want to express how exciting it is to be on the precipice of beginning construction of a brand new Winchester Center commuter rail station. This is a project that has been in the works since 2010, so more than a decade. There've been a lot of twists and turns along the way, and you know, this is it's a particularly complex project, just given the location of the station, and so agreeing on the design parameters for a new station and working out a lot of those details between the MBTA and the town of Winchester has been very challenging at times, and has taken a long time. But again, I'm delighted that we are finally where we are today, and construction will soon begin. Once we have a new station several years from now, this will be a fantastic asset to the town of Winchester and indeed to the entire region in terms of supporting our transportation needs, in terms of having a brand new, fully accessible, modern train station with convenient amenities like bike access, and will also be a very important element of local economic development and as part of the revitalization of downtown Winchester. I think will be a huge asset for the residents, for commuters, and for local businesses as well. I want to express my gratitude to the MBTA for your commitment to this project. Again, it has been a lot of hard work. The cost for construction has grown significantly over time, but the MBTA has remained committed to completing this project. I want to thank my colleagues in the Winchester delegation, Representative Mike Day and Senator Pat Jalen, for all of their hard work and support for this project through the years. I want to thank our acting town manager and also town engineer, Beth Rudolph, who I think along with me are the only two people who've been involved in this project the entire length of time. And cannot thank Beth enough for how much time and effort she has put into moving this project forward throughout the past decade. I also want to recognize and thank two of our former town managers, Richard Howard and Lisa Wong, who also contributed tremendously to where we are today. And finally, I want to thank the members of the Winchester Town Working Group who came together over a decade ago, representing different areas of expertise and different perspectives among Winchester town boards and residents. And they have had countless meetings, with the MBTA through the years, and have also contributed significantly to the final design for the new station. So again, thank you for this opportunity tonight for the public to understand where we're at and to provide continued input. And again, I'm just want to express my appreciation and excitement about where we are and moving forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for those kind words, Senator Lewis. And I know from having been in some of these meetings over the term and negotiations with the town and everything that you've been a tireless advocate for this station and the amenities for the community. And thank you for that support and leadership. And speaking of leadership, I think we also have with us Senior Senator Pat Jalen. And Pat, if you're available and would like to say a few words, that would be great.
I don't know if you can see me or hear me, but I'm here.
We can hear you and we can see your picture.
Okay. I just want to echo everything that Senator Lewis said. Tremendous amount of patience and persistence on the part of so many people, all of whom he named, and particularly Senator Lewis I feel like this is like the phoenix rising again and again and again from the ashes when we got so discouraging news, but people stuck with it and have made such a difference, and it will make a tremendous difference for Winchester Town Center, as Jason said, for the region, for all of our goals, for transportation and the environment and housing. And so just thanks to everybody so far. It's not over yet, but the light is at the end of this tunnel. And so thanks to everybody.
Thank you again, Senator Jalen, and for your leadership and commitment and really helping forge resolutions to issues that come up on a project of this size, and we appreciate it. I don't know if State Rep Michael Day was able to join us tonight. Does anybody know if he was able to make it, or if we should move on to?
I don't see
Okay.
him on
It
currently.
looks like he's not on yet, and if he gets on later, we'll give him an opportunity. The next person that we'd like to recognize, and the last for elected officials for now, and if there are more with us, they can join in the Q&A. Winchester Acting Town Manager Beth Rudolph.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Beth. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Good, thanks. I really wanted to echo everything that Senator Lewis and Senator Jalen said this evening. This has been a Herculean effort put forward by the MBTA, our state delegation, and our town working group over the past almost 11 years to develop a design that works both for our community and for the MBTA. And I think we've really done a lot of good work over those years, and I'm very excited for the prospect for this project to move forward into construction and to have it completed in the next few years so that we can really see our downtown transform. One of the goals in downtown Winchester is to encourage the development of transit-oriented development projects. So this is really a key piece of that continued economic development in our town center. So I appreciate everyone's hard work, and I think Senator Jalen said it best. This project has certainly been a phoenix that has risen from the ashes many times over the years. So I know there's a lot of hard work that's gone on beyond just the folks being recognized on this call at the MBTA. So we certainly appreciate that. Also want to recognize that this is going to be a difficult few years construction-wise for impacts to our downtown businesses and restaurants. We as a town are committed to working with the T to be very communicative about what we expect those impacts to be and to work with them as the project goes on to minimize things to the extent that we can. So again, very excited and very appreciative for all the hard work that everyone's done over the years. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Beth. And you were certainly one of those who did hard work, I think, as the town engineer before your now
Yes,
role.
yeah.
So you've really worked hard to help this Phoenix raise again and again. So thank you so very much.
Thanks.
And now I think we can get into our question and answer period. And I'll go over the rules one more time. As we saw with Senator Lewis, sometimes with earlier iterations of Zoom, the microphone doesn't translate. And if there are any glitches, we certainly, if you can't get through on your microphone and we can't be recognized that way, we would ask that you type in your questions through the Q&A button. So just going over it again, we'll be doing one question at a time. And if you happen to dial in by phone, you can hit *9, and we will call you out by the last 4 digits of your phone number and unmute your audio, and when it's turn and allow your turn. You can always at any time, and we have several already, please put in more if you'd like, type in a question by typing into the Q&A, hit the Q&A button and typing in a question. And if you'd like to make comment verbally, you'd press the raise hand button and you will go into a queue for that. After you raise hand, you'll wait, and there may be a few, so it might be a period of waiting, and we will recognize you and unmute you before speaking. And after you share your comment, we'll lower your hand and we'll be muted until the team responds to your question. If for any reason you think of a question after the meeting or something like that, you can always send in a question at the MBTA station at mbta.com or www.mbta.com Winchester Station to get more information or to ask a query at any time during the project. So first, why don't we go to the first question we have? One of the written questions we have is someone asked about, is there opportunity and there's still possibility of any charging stations at Laraway Road?
So one thing that maybe a lot of people don't know is that the MBTA does not control or operate any parking in the vicinity of Winchester Center. There was the opportunity to do this, I think, but we are already when we are in design and with the negotiations with the town, we were able to get the parking for temporary uses in order to stage for construction purposes. But in order for the parking spaces that will be returned to being parking spaces, we don't own those spaces. So it's not something that we were going to, we have the opportunity to really invest in. Certainly if that's an issue that comes up later, and the town wants to broach that with us or whoever owns those parking spaces, wherever they may be, we're open to talking with them.
Thank you, Brittany. So the parking along Laraway Road, I think, is owned by the town next to the common there. So if the town has a interest in a project there, we'll hear them out and try and find a solution. Susan Verdicchio said she's very pleased that this project is getting underway. It'll be transformative for the town center. Can we please talk about what pre-construction easements are? And will the project include any blasting or other activities that would cause vibrations that might damage nearby or abutting structures? And so I guess this is a 3-part question. And will there be inspections so property owners can be protected against any cracks or damage from vibration? Nate?
Sure, yeah. Pre-construction assessments. These assessments are similar to what was done during the demolition project. What these assessments are is at the permission of the business or resident owner. We have teams that specialize in these sort of assessments where we document basically the state of the structure. This includes photos, drawings, a narrative describing what, if any, existing damages there could be to structures. We can install monitors that monitor and can record any sort of movement in structures. So these are what the pre-construction assessments are. There will be no blasting in this project. We anticipate vibration, of course. There is existing vibration going on now with these diesel locomotives passing over on the viaduct. There will be vibration, and we will be monitoring that. And this is a live sort of feed of vibration. And if there's any issues with vibration, that we can be notified right away that it's a problem. Also, there's a hotline where, as area residents, if they're concerned about vibration, they can call, and there can be that quick interaction with someone on site in order to resolve any sort of issues with vibration. So yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just, in summary, these pre-construction assessments, they're there for the protection and of the owner, that they can both parties, the MBTA, the contractor as well, and the property owners can have a document that lays out what the condition of their buildings were, at the time of before construction starts.
Thank you, Nate. I'm just trying to juggle while we did get a follow-up on before we close off that subject, and then we're going to go back to the electrified parking, because the town does have some things, and the town manager just brought that to our attention. We'll go back to that, and maybe the town manager can speak to that a little bit. But I wanted to just say that, Nate, I want to ask follow up on that. So people that do qualify for the pre-construction assessments, and I don't know if there's some measure of monitoring during construction, will there be meetings? Will the project be reaching out to those, mostly probably the direct abutters on Thompson Street that would be closest to construction, and anybody else that qualifies for pre-construction surveys or assessment?
Sure. Yes, we'll be contacting the direct abutters directly. Those people who share a property line with the work that's going on.
Okay, thank you very much. Going back to the last question, I don't know if you just want, if Beth wants to just go in. I know you typed a response. I can just read it. But Beth, would you like to talk about the charging stations a little?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great, yeah. So I just wanted to follow up because there are existing charging stations on Laraway Road. Laraway Road will be fully occupied by the MBTA for the duration of the construction. So unless we're able to work something out with MBT's contractor, there will be no access to those charging stations for the duration of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Susan had a follow-up question that says, residents have many questions about parking. Are there any negotiations or arrangements going on to add parking near Wedgemere, like along Mystic Valley Parkway or in the lots near Shannon Beach? Nate?
Sure, yeah. So to reiterate, the MBTA doesn't own any parking we don't operate any parking at Winchester Center or Wedgemere. We have been facilitating in the past, months with DCR to try to, anticipating that, our patrons are going to look for somewhere else to park, most likely Wedgemere. So we've been focused on that area of Wedgemere and working with DCR. There's still some work left to do, but we are involved with that, and we are playing the role that we can in providing some parking if possible, if DCR would allow it at Shannon Beach.
Thank you, Nathan. And we also, people that were familiar with the conditions during the summer, during the demolition project, the current parking restrictions during this phase of construction are fairly familiar to that. And with regard to also the station is closed, so there's less people, certainly not commuters, competing for that parking. Are those two statements generally true, Nathan?
You might be right, Joe. Yeah, I think my understanding is that parking is coming back. I think the town would be able to speak to that more accurately. There's Wedgemere I'm talking about. There's an increase in parking traffic there. So I think that this question is probably a real suitable one, and one that we can work together on trying to get ahead of.
It's certainly an important issue, so we'll keep on it, and we want to make sure that as many parking spaces can be available for businesses as we move along. And Susan, we're going to give you your last question was, can residents near the station sign up for email notices about noise during the night work? And the answer to that is yes, you can. If you go to either of the emails provided below for Winchester Station, you will be added to a database, and that database, every time there's a substantive construction effort going on ahead of time, there'll be advisories issued For instance, if there's ever, lane closures, and if at some point there may be closures temporarily on a street or something to do demolition, and certainly overnight work and things like that. I'm not sure if any night work is planned for this project. Nate, do you know that?
This project will involve overnight work. It's not continuous throughout, the duration of construction. There are various activities that, we'll be doing at night, such as any of the bridge overhead work on Waterfield. I believe there's some at Quill Rotary as well that could be considered, would be, good candidates for night work. And any sort of utility focused work also is good to do at night. So there will be night work, and there'll be lots of notice ahead of time for that.
Yeah, so those will be discrete tasks, and in order to accelerate that work, for instance, if you had to shut down a road or part of a road to do some demolition or something like that, or construct something, you can then there'd be that period would be well advertised ahead of time, and people will know it's coming, and you'll be advised accordingly. So please do go to the websites provided in this presentation and for Winchester Station and sign up, because there will be regular construction updates. So I just want to take a look here and see about raised hands. We have. I didn't want to go through all of the. I don't see a number of raised hands. And let me know if Marty, if anybody does raise their hands and want to speak. We have written questions, and I'll go back to them because we have several.
Will do.
Go ahead. Okay, thanks, Marty. So Krista Luce, recognizing this is likely impossible, is there any way for the station to reopen for service prior to the end of construction? It's just really a long time without service at Winchester Station. So Nate, you want to?
I mean, we have we've advertised the project as if it would be, not open to patrons, for the duration of construction. That would be a change to the contract. Nothing's impossible, but really, the fastest way to get this station back and operational is to leave it closed for construction. We're very fortunate to have Wedgmere so close. I understand that it is something that it's an extra minutes on people's day to get to Wedgmere, who are used to going to Winchester Center, but we do feel like it's ideal scenario that having another commuter rail station so close that we can really focus on getting Winchester Center built. And when you introduce partially open stations to construction and vice versa, it makes a lot of things slower. So it's kind of a, everything goes longer and it's more expensive. And so our plan right now is to keep the station closed and to proceed that way.
Thank you, Nate. It has been suggested that an alternative to electric car charging spots alternative electric car charging spots being made available to replace the ones at Laraway that will be unavailable during construction. And I think that what's been said is that we would be open to talking to the town to see if there's any way to facilitate that. But at this time, there's no plan for that. Is that correct, Nate?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll hear more on that subject. I live in a town center. Karen D says, I live in a town center apartment, and I find the train station charming, but it is loud. Are there any installments designed to reduce noise from the trains?
Reducing the noise from the trains. There's nothing specifically that we've designed and are constructing at Winchester Center that is designed to reduce noise. No, it's difficult. The station is a little unique in that it's on a viaduct. It's raised 25 or so feet up in the air, and I understand that it's probably noisy. There are train regulations for bells that we have to ring going in and out of the station. So, understanding that there's nothing we've been, we're designing or installing in this contract that specifically designed to reduce noise. No.
So Nate, is my understanding correct that noise mitigation is something that is employed when you exacerbate or add to an existing condition? And in this case, the train has been there historically, and therefore, they wouldn't qualify for additional noise mitigation. Perhaps the new tracks and structure and everything will be a little tighter, but that's why we're not introducing any new element to this community. It's just the existing train being repaired, tracked.
Track wise, yes. I mean, we're not introducing anything specific to mitigate noise due to regular train operation. No.
Okay.
We do have noise, a specific noise reduction clauses in our contract, though. Just to speak about noise, in terms of construction, there are some measures that we are taking in order to keep noise to a minimum during construction. However, normal rail operation wise, there's nothing we're designing or building to mitigate noise once the station's reopened.
Thanks, Nate. So I think that the next question might give you an opportunity to elaborate a little bit on the noise mitigation language in the construction contracts and as relates to construction, because Carl asks which phases, months of the construction will be loudest for nearby residents. That's kind of a tough one to say, but that's the question. Do we know which phases will be the loudest months of construction?
Well, as things stand right now, we have contractually, Barletta, the contractor, has given us their schedule for the first 90 days. And as I said before, pre-construction activities, there's a lot of submittals, permitting that's going on, a few activities and construction tasks will be taking place, later on towards the end of the winter. So we don't right now, focusing this meeting on the first, initial phase of construction. I can't really say that there's anything more special that's going to be more noisy. For this first 6 months, I would say the months of probably April, May, when the contractor comes to site, he actually starts setting up. He may be doing some initial demolition work. That's what I can tell you for sure right now. We will be coming back to do another public update in 6 months. At that time, I'll be able to tell you, when you can expect to, have certain more noise at certain times of the year than other times. So in general, I would say once the weather breaks, you're going to start hearing, it's going to be a construction site, starting in, the end of the winterish, and then moving into the summer is prime construction season. That's when, the weather's the best, and that we can really start to, maximize the use of good weather on site.
Okay, Nathan, sounds good. Now, am I to understand that there are normal hours of construction planned, and then obviously there'd be discrete times where something, in order to accelerate it, make sure it has the least impact, would need to be, off hours perhaps, and that would, the project would give out advisories to abutters and the community about that. But during normal, otherwise, what are the normal construction hours for this project?
I believe it's 7 to 5. I'll have to check.
Okay, but daytime work in general, except for those discrete periods where you have to go outside that, and then there'd be notifications for that.
I might just ask Mark Thompson on the call if he's aware of or maybe
Mark, do you want to weigh in on
Barletta knows?
Yes, the construction hours are from 7 to 5 on site. The contractor's allowed to be at the site on those hours, but the hours of work on next to the tracks is more limited to that. But this allows the contractor to spend more time on the site, but not necessarily up by the tracks, which is a reduced time, just because service will be running through the station, but not stopping at the station the full time.
Thank you, Mark. Marianne asks, will work and construction be happening on Saturdays next summer? And I guess I'd format that, will it be on Saturdays regularly, or may there be Saturday work during those discrete periods where, you know, a certain aspect of the construction is accelerated? Mark, do you want to talk to that at all?
Yes, so Saturdays are available, and there are times that the contractor can work at the on weekends, and they'll have to alert the town, I believe, a couple of weeks in advance of working on weekends. But those times are laid out, and those times were set aside to speed up the construction of this station. That allows the contractor to work if they want to on those on weekends.
Thank you, Mark. And again, if you know those, even when those periods happen, there will be advisories. So if you're signed up to the database of stakeholders, you'll get advisories ahead of those scheduled work. Carl pointed out that we may want to point out that there are additional charging spots available in the lot between the library and town hall, and also at the high school. So thank you, Carl, for that information. Steve Baker asks, can you provide a bit more clarity on the pacing of the project? Specifically, is there an ability to accelerate the 2024 completion date? Will work be continuous, or for example, will there be winter work stoppages? Nate, you want to speak to those?
Well, yeah, I mean, for this initial phase where I think you're not gonna see, you know, a lot of construction activity in the winter. Just because the pre-construction activities don't, we have to have a certain amount of paperwork done before we can show up on site. And then from that point on, you're gonna see, more or less a sustained level. You're gonna see maybe perhaps a bit reduction in winter, but it's gonna be a continuous site presence all the way through till 24.
Okay, thank you. And there is no, I mean, one can expect that this is an aggressive construction schedule on a viaduct, historic structure, and that it's anticipated everybody would like to accelerate and make sure it's done as quick as can. The contractor would like to be done as soon as they can, but everybody can anticipate that it will take till 2024 to complete.
That's correct, yeah.
The next question is from Rob Wilson. It's, what will be done to protect buildings that are abutting construction? During the demolition phase, there was instances of debris falling on buildings abutting the station. So I recall, I think, Rob, I don't know if you're the dentist's office adjacent, there was a small bit of debris that had to be cleaned up. And do you want to talk to that a little bit more, Nathan, about that? That falls into the discussion of meetings with the direct abutters and the pre-construction surveys and how we do that. You want to elaborate a little bit more on that at all?
Sure, yeah. In the last phase, the demolition phase, we removed the canopies and the roofing. And as everybody knows, some of those buildings are right on the property line. The Thompson Street buildings, the back wall of those buildings on Thompson Street are right on the property line, or very, very close to the MBTA property line. And so, we're going to be working with and notifying those direct abutters specifically with before we start the work in those immediate areas. Yeah, we've gotten rid of a lot of all the canopies and the columns and the roofing all in that area. But now there's a bit of a cantilevered edge of the platforms that has to come down. There's kind of more extensive work. So we'll be taking more precautions. This is, of course, all the means and methods that the contractor has. So they'll be taking precautions in that area. And we'll be identifying with those particular abutters when we'll be there and what we're going to be doing to ensure that, there's no no debris falls on any of the structures.
Thank you, Nathan. And I think I heard in the meeting that it's anticipated that as the contractor gets mobilized, that we will try to, set those meetings up in early 2021 with the direct abutters.
Early 22.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Sorry. When will the line be, Judy Blaine mentioned, asked the question, when will the line be electrified? That would reduce noise and be much kinder to the environment. I don't know whether we have to answer this later. I know that there's thoughts of the T electrifying the system. Nathan, do you have anything more to add on that? Or perhaps that's one we can get a more detailed answer for after the meeting.
You're right. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have, I'm focused on this project, Winchester Center, and getting the station built. That's a whole discussion outside that I don't have any information on, but I can certainly provide information on where the T is at with their electrification planning and, where we're at with that. To my knowledge, well, for this project, there's no electrification being part of the electrification of the Lowell line for Winchester Center that's going on at the same time as this project's going on.
But the long-term plan for commuter rail does contemplate that and so we can get a more detailed answer on that process. And so we will do that for you. Thank you. The next question is from Mike Galvin and may give you an opportunity to introduce Scott Miles. Who's the contractor, Nate?
Yeah, it's Barletta Heavy Division. They're on the call here. They have extensive experience with the MBTA. They're very familiar working in a heavy rail environment. They have lots of experience working both the transit and commuter rail. They obviously they're a pre-qualified contractor to bid on our projects, and we're very, very comfortable working with them. We worked on various projects, and I know that the specific project manager and the site supervisor have experience with MBTA, and so we're confident, that we can get this project done with them.
That's great, Nathan. Yeah, Barletta has a great history of working for decades now, making improvements to MBTA commuter rail stations, bridges, and everything else. So they're very competent. Karen D asked, once complete, are there opportunities for having a stop for the Downeaster to Maine to stop in Winchester? And again, that's one that we may have to get back to you on, Karen, because I don't think we have an extensive service planning group with us today. But Nate, do you have any opinion on that?
I don't have any information about Amtrak service, at future Amtrak service at Winchester Center. No, I don't.
So we don't have it at this time, Karen, but we can find it out and get back to you. And if you're on our list of stakeholders that has signed up to the database, we'll get back to you. But if not, we'll get back to you anyway with an answer for that. And Heidi DeLeo asked, is there any asbestos left to remove, or has that remediation been completed?
All of that remediation was completed in the demolition phase.
Well, that's excellent. That's good news. Oh, wait, I got another question just popped up. So that was the last question we had for now, but I have another one typed in. Marianne de Blasio says, I think you already said this, but when is the project expected to be completed and Laraway Road be reopened?
We are anticipating finishing the project and opening up Laraway Road in the spring of 24.
Okay, thank you. So that ends our questions that were written in. Let me look at the attendees and see if I don't see any raised hands. And again, if we'll take a last chance if anybody wants to type in a last question, or if you want to raise your hand, we can recognize you that way. We do have a raised hand. Karen D, you're on. It's Karen. Kim, can you open?
Hi, this is Karen. Can you hear me?
Hi, Karen. We can hear you. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I really liked this talk. It was very informative. I had one question that was something new to me. the woman Judy, she was asking about kinder to the environment to be electrified. What did that mean? Like, it's just a general train question, I guess.
My understanding of one of the studies for MBTA commuter rail, which contemplated a lot of different ways to provide service on commuter rail and improve it, everything from different equipment and routes and schedules, was to contemplate electrifying the system, meaning all the commuter rail locomotives would be electrified, like other lines that go down to Providence and other the Amtrak lines have been electrified. That is a ways out, but in planning. So we'll try and get some more information on that potential and post it to the website.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm not seeing, I don't want to cut anybody off, so because there's been a really productive discussion, and we're really patient. We really appreciate the patience of our neighbors and abutters to Winchester Station. As everyone's alluded to, it's been a long time coming, but I guess this Phoenix is rising, and it'll be a very excellent amenity. You know, this investment of some $48 million into the Winchester Center commuter rail station is really going to be there for generations to come. It's a once in a lifetime project, and you know, it's going on now, which is exciting. So I don't know, I don't see any other raised hands, and I'm just going to take one look. I do have some more in the Q&A. So Brendan asks, is there a possibility of extending bus service hours or frequency on the 134 line to compensate for the closure of the station? Service on that line ends much earlier than the Lowell line. That's a really good question, Brendan, and one we probably have to take to our service planning people and talk. I know that with the COVID, ridership on the commuter rail lines was down, and that was just one aspect. And certainly the Wedgemere station being open is an alternative, but we can find out more details on that. Nate, do you have anything to add on the possibility of extending service on that bus line?
Basically, no, I don't have anything to add, but it's an excellent question, Brendan. And I can check with you know, our bus people. We're obviously, you know, as I said, we're closing the Laraway stop, and we have to coordinate that. So I can check in on, you know, what any sort of future plans would be to extend the closing of service on the 134 line. Is that what I'm understanding the question correctly? Yeah. Yeah,
you do, and we'll certainly follow up on that. We're taking notes as to the handful of questions that we want to respond to after this meeting that might need a little bit more expertise than we have in this construction meeting tonight. So we will definitely get more information on that. I'm not seeing the one more question. It's not a question, it's a statement from Carl, and it's thanks so much and a great presentation and meeting. So we love that kind of a question or statement. So thank you very much. And let's see, we've just got another question. So, and Deborah Johnson also said, just want to thank you all for redesigning the ramp location from Skillings Road. I know that, and you know, Mark could probably talk to that came up in earlier meetings, and the team did listen to that, and it made sense to move it back to where it is now. So thank you, Deborah, for pointing that out with the new design being just a little bit tighter. So that's good. I will leave it to Nate to if we have no more questions, and I don't see any in the chat. I don't see any hands raised. So Nate, if you want to close it out as the project manager, the floor is yours.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your patience to this point in the project. We are planning to come back in 6 months, and we'll give you an update and a little bit more clear look in the future in terms of schedule. And, you know, once again, thank you all for your patience, and we look forward to getting the station built for you.
And I didn't mean to not give you the last word, Nate, but again, anybody who's here, and share this with your friends. It is on the website. Please sign up for email updates for the project at winchesterstation@mbta.com, and you can visit the www.mbta.com Winchester Station for more information. Updates will be posted there as well, because we will be giving regular information on any substantive project impacts in the time prior to the next public meeting. So with that, good night, everybody, and thank you very much for an excellent, productive discussion. And wait a second, I might have to stop and see. We have Just more thank yous. Thank you all so much. We've come a long way, and it's really nice to see this project. Paul Johnson and Lisa both said thank you for the information in the meeting. So thank you all, and good night. Good night, everybody.